Hello, friends and family from around the world. This is Mike with Daily Events Worldwide, and we are on February 6th, 2024. Welcome to another surviving day on the planet, and welcome to the Daily Do, giving you your space weather update, as well earthquakes, volcanoes, and world weather. Always starting out here, looking at the last 48 hours of imagery of our sun, brought to you by Solar Dynamics Observatory, mixed with Daily Events Worldwide. Earlier today, I did release some imagery of that M-class solar flare. We've had another moderate M-class solar flare since. Having a look at the last 48 hours incoming, see a very active and bright fiery region coming in, and as well plasma filament erecting from the surface, both north and south, which is left and right. Having a look at the last 48 hours outgoing, this is where we'll see that large M-class solar flare producing the coronal mass ejection. Having a look at multispectrum, pointing out the biggest events the last 48 hours, M-class solar flares, and as well a plasma filament eruption in the northern hemisphere just as of late, and diminished coronal hole in the southern hemisphere. Not too much to talk about for coronal holes. Having a look, 171 angstroms, and this is where we can see active 9 sunspots on the sun right now, but notably watching the magnetic fields around the equator of our sun amongst the 9, actually 10 sunspot regions. Have a quick look here at another light to see these sunspots in motion. Those black holes on the sun are probably about the size of 4 Earths. So pretty active regions that are Earth facing right now. Heads up. Current space weather conditions, we are still under R1, a minor radio blackout impacts expected. Solar winds are coming in at 496 kilometers per second right now. Solar X-ray flux reporting yet another M-class solar flare. So that's about 6 that we've seen the last 2 days. Solar proton flux was raised. Geomagnetic activity sitting at a 2 right now. And then looking at the ISWA space prediction spiral, showing large CME taking off from the sun, backside region, right at the Parker Solar Probe, which is that green square icon. Very large CME. Luckily, that was not in an Earth-facing position, heading off the back of our sun. And we are expecting some space weather here. As you can see, this is updated now as these spirals have changed. Lots of space weather heading our way. Minor CME taking off towards us in the last few views. Now let's have a look at our magnetosphere. These are showing our solar winds. The darker the red, the faster the solar winds are hitting us. And right now, as I said and mentioned, 496 kilometers per second. That is above normal. Average is between 250 and 350 kilometers per second. And as you can see, the last few images there, we are seeing an impact from increased solar winds. Watch for the pressure to change here. This is showing the pressure that the solar winds are putting on our planet and magnetosphere. Watching the last few views here, you're going to see that red bow shock in front of the planet. There it is. As we have an impact from a solar windstorm right now. Having a look at the LASCO 3, showing the last 48 hours of cosmic energy leaving our sun. We do have a sun-diving comet to observe as well. But notable, that large halo CME taking off from the back side. As you can see, all the energy all around that center disk. So very large halo CME taking off from the back of the sun. And then watch in the bottom left-hand side there, we're going to see a sun-diving comet come into view in the first few images. We'll slow that big CME down. And there's the sun-diving comet. Now let's get to earthquakes here the past 24 hours as USGS is reporting 223 the last 24 hours. Things calming down in Hawaii, but notable activity across Colorado and as well Texas into the Mexico border. 5.1 earthquake rang out in Oklahoma the other day. Multiple earthquakes being reported afterwards. Minor activity west of Yellowstone and across California state, only reporting about 76 earthquakes. So pretty quiet across California right now, but notable activity all up the west coast. Largest last 24 hours being the 5.5 there, El Salvador. Notable activity here, 4.9 Venezuela, and quiet Puerto Rico. Normally we see lots of minor activity there. Nazca Plate seeing minor activity, 4.6 ranging to 4.8. The West Chile rise. And as well, notable here, 5.4 earthquake and multiple aftershocks through the James Ridge, North Mid-Atlantic plate line running right into Iceland. 4.2 earthquake here reported Greece, and as well a 4.0 magnitude yesterday reported in Romania. 4.4 earthquake there, Loyada, Northeast Africa. That's right by the Erta volcano. And then lots of activity across the West Pacific plate here. Notable south of Japan and north of Japan towards the Kuril Islands, Russia. 5.1 magnitude here, Volcano Islands, Northern Mariana Trench. And as well all through the Philippines and Indonesia, deepest being a 482 kilometer depth earthquake, Indonesia. HIFO reporting 4.5, 245 kilometer depth there. And that has been a very quiet region as of late. Normally we see a lot of deep earthquakes coming out of there, and it's been way too quiet. We saw a lot of minor activity at Kilauea volcano, and that has since ceased. But now the interesting activity into the North Mid-Atlantic, heading up into Iceland, has me a little bit concerned for Icelanders and the Reykjanes volcanic ridge. Having a look here at the last 7 days for earthquakes, there are a lot of red icons. That means we're seeing a lot of increased activity right now. Largest being the 5.5 El Salvador, Mexico. Notable 5.1 earthquake there, Oklahoma. And all up the west coast, right up into Tofino, BC, minor activity continues. And that's the last 7 days for shakers around the world. Having a look here at satellite imagery, brought to you by Pacific Disaster Center, and as well noting out the most recent volcanoes getting updated. Reventador in Ecuador, Santa Maria in Guatemala. And there's not many other volcanoes getting updated today. It's mostly flood alerts and as well cyclone watches. Looking at satellite imagery, large low pressure system affecting California state, heading into the central U.S. right now. A couple tropical cyclones in the South Pacific. And as well, lots of monsoon rains developing all through Indonesia and the Philippines. And a strong low pressure system moving through the North Atlantic, heading into Europe this week. Now let's have a look at SO2 models, showing the air quality statements and forecast models for the next 3 days. Brought to you by our volcanoes, showing sulfur dioxide emissions. Big eruptions coming off of Kamchatka in eastern Russia. Around the rest of the world here, pretty thick SO2 plumes coming out of Japan, Kamchatka there, and as well through New Caledonia at the Aoba volcano. And then a big plume coming out of the United States, heading across the North Atlantic right now. That will be sweeping into parts of northern Europe in the next couple days. Now let's get to weather here, brought to you by windy.com. Strong low pressure system heading into Ireland and the United Kingdom by Friday and Saturday. So you've got a wet weekend ahead of you. Strong low pressure system heading through the Mediterranean, and as well a cyclone developing here east of Madagascar in the South Indian Ocean, overlooking Australia. Southeast Asia. Strong lows hanging around the Northern Territory yet again. And as well, a couple cyclones here developing through New Caledonia. Long range forecast, another strong system developing for the Northern Territory of Australia. And some pretty big lows winding up into Alaska, set to bring in some record amounts of snowfall. Now let's have a look over North America as we've got multiple lows. Strong low heading out of the Gulf right now, heading into the North Atlantic, and as well the big system that affected California that will be heading into central United States, northern Canada in the long range, affecting most of the Atlantic provinces, and then high pressure ridge hanging around, and cold temperatures will be coming back once we get rid of these low pressure systems coming out of the Gulf. That is bringing some extremely rare and warm air straight across North America right now. Eastern Canada experiencing some very dry and warm, beautiful conditions. Looking here, the temperature forecast, things will be cooling off in the long range by Valentine's Day. Overlooking at Europe here, temperatures, watch this cold blob severely grow and creep west into parts of Eastern Europe. Most of Russia is enveloped into minus 40 to minus 50 degrees Celsius right now. And that polar vortex, having a look here, it is very visible. Looking at null school, upper level winds. Big interesting La Nina blob, sending lots of equatorial and warm moisture into North America right now. Now let's just have a look at what our winds looked like last year at this time through this region, noting the direction of the winds as they're going, and as well the equatorial line through the trade winds. Something is definitely off, folks. Big changes happening on our planet right now, and it is clearly evident here in null school, showing the upper level winds in our polar vortex, which is still yet to swing around and give us a good outro to winter. And it will be doing that. Long range forecast, the end of February and into March, will be cold and snowy. This is our polar vortex for 2024. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay aware and prepared, stay young and have fun, and get your daily dew. Bye-bye now. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button, subscribe, share with your friends and family from across the world.